So as we now set the stage for the entrepreneurial panel, mental wellness meets business success. Please give a round of applause for your moderator, LaGina Harris. She's the co-founder of Melanin Minds, media personality, podcast host, and solo founder of the S Space, and she's got cookies. You better start clapping if you want a cookie, okay? There we go. But the S Space is an intentional creative space for women of color and women-centric organizations to thrive right in this building in Suite 400. And we also have, make sure I got all my notes here. Okay, yes, and we also have Katherine Thompson. Katherine Thompson, all right, come on up here, give her a round of applause as she makes her way. She's a licensed professional counselor, dually licensed in Texas and Georgia. She has over 7 years of experience as a mental health clinician. She's a founder of Speakhaus Psychological Services, whose mission is to provide services to marginalized populations to lessen the resource gap. Now I got somebody else standing on the sidelines, waiting to come in. Lala, is that you? Yeah, okay, I thought so. I was like, Lala Warren is in the house, joining us from Chicago, Southside, stand up, 63rd, 43rd, Vincennes, 79th, Essex, you know what I'm saying, 61st, St. Lawrence. I used to live in Chicago. Used to own property. I'm like, Southside, Morgan Park. No. No, okay, so she is, right. So she joins us from Chicago. And Lala is the founder of Twisted Rose Metal, having started crafting handmade products as a way to relieve stress and anxiety. She's now a metalsmith, wholesaler, and leather worker. Nice. I like the way that sounds. Emmanuel here too? No. Okay. All right. So we're ready to go.
Yeah, and we're gonna actually welcome up a speaker from last year that traveled into town to come to the conference, who is a full-time entrepreneur as well, Rania. And we're gonna get started, and you're gonna know all of us very well, because the goal of this panel is to talk around entrepreneurship, right? And not only entrepreneurship, but the mental health aspect of it, because I think that's where we're at right now. As Sherhara said, that journaling is this really important thing that happens, and is starting to tie her back to the actual purpose of what she's doing. We're all on journeys, and how many of us are entrepreneurs in the room? Oh, okay, so we're just gonna have a real old conversation, and we're gonna be honest during this conversation. That's the whole goal. We're gonna talk a little bit about the aha moment, that why moment, the real why, not like, what's your business why, but the real why about why you became an entrepreneur, because I think we all have different stories and goals. As Sherhara said, I am the founder of the Space. We also know I am the co-founder of Melanin Minds, and I also am a visual artist that is a media personality here in Houston. I have a podcast studio. I love to talk, all those things. So entrepreneurship, I am a 4th generation entrepreneur. Yeah. So I'm blessed to have family that understands what I'm doing. You'll see my nephew running around. I don't care if he gets bored. He is here because this is part of the mental health journey. He needs to see us all on it. My big brother's here and my mother's here. So if you see Mama Harris, you make sure she's good, or I have a problem with you. So I'm going to have everybody introduce themselves, but we're going to do it entrepreneurship style, right? So we're going to do our 1-minute elevator pitch about ourselves and why we're amazing as entrepreneurs, okay? Let's have Lala start first, because you came the furthest. And somewhere in there, we're gonna switch this up, because we all do know as entrepreneurs, you always have to be able to just pitch, right? You should be able to pitch. So I think y'all are all good at this, so we're gonna do it. So I need your name, where you're from, what your business is, and then I always tell people that I do for business coaching. So University of Houston, Rice, Founders Institute, G-Beta, it doesn't matter. I always say you are your number one value proposition. And if you don't understand that, you need to understand that, because 10,000 people are doing what you do. Sherhara, where's Sherhara? She probably somewhere. How many people speak? How many people talk and MC and do all that kind of stuff? A whole bunch of them? They try. You see what I mean? That easy. They try. There's tons of people with shared flex spaces like the Space, but the way that I'm doing it is I could give somebody my playbook. They can't execute it like I do. And when you understand that kind of stuff, you become your greatest asset in business. So we're going to do our elevator pitches. Name, address, phone number, social security number. You know all the stuff you have to give for the baby grants? Do that. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead. Go ahead, Lala.
Hi, I'm Lala, governmentally known as Ladetria Warren. I am the owner and founder of Twisted Rose Metal in Chicago, Illinois. I am a metalsmith, ex-social worker, metalsmith, leather craftsman. I have my own line of natural deodorant. Let's see. I'm also on 3 advisory committees for 3 different organizations in Chicago's South Side neighborhood, and a mother too. I live my business is registered in Chicago. I bought a house in Gary, Indiana, thank God. But, I'm everywhere. And I tour from May 31st through August the 11th. So I'm so happy to be here today. And I am also looking to expand to more wholesale manufacturing, my own line, and whatever else I feel like doing. I'm a Virgo.
That last one's really important. You're a Virgo. Your season's about to come up.
Good afternoon, y'all. I'm Katherine Thompson. I'm a licensed professional counselor. Yes, duly licensed in Texas and in Georgia. I say that because it was not easy. So let me put this down. I talk with my hands. So I claim Houston. I'm Colombian. And what I do is I help provide resources and skills for professionals who go through racial discrimination and who feel the effects of mental health stigma, specifically in people of color, but also in underrepresented populations on a greater whole. So that's my little elevator pitch. Very short, but yeah.
Why are you the value proposition of your business?
Oh, there we go. I think, honestly, I'm the subject matter expert as it pertains to how mental health stigma has affected me. Being Colombian, we don't talk about anything that isn't happy or angry, maybe. We don't talk about depression. We don't talk about anxiety. We talk about feelings that may not be as taboo, if we want to put it like that. So that's why I think as founder, as executive director of Sparrow Psychological Services, that I will continue my fight to eradicate mental health stigma so we can even have conversations like this. So Sparrow in Latin means hope. My hope is that we work together to end this, because honestly, what prevents people from getting help? How they're viewed, the resources that may even be out there for people that look like us. So that's a little bit about why I would be best for this.
I love how she started swag. She's like, well, first off, I love that. Okay. The value proposition. And I love how you also talked about what your business name means and the meaning behind it. Because that's another thing that when we're giving our 5-minute, our 3-minute, our 90-second, that's not really anything anybody cares about, but it goes back to, as a business owner, why you started your business. Like the us space, you could go look at the symbol of it. I did studies on symbols and logos and how you're supposed to cut those up, because you are supposed to have a symbol with your logo, and one should be able to fit into an icon and all these things. And then eventually when you get to McDonald's status, what happens? You don't even need to put McDonald's because you got golden arches. So my thing is like 3 triangles. You'll know it's the us space. Hey, so all of those things, because eventually we'll become the butcher and the baker and the candlestick maker and the plumber and the janitor, all of those things in one. All right, Rania, let's go.
Hi, I'm Rania Zayyat, and I currently live in Austin, Texas. I grew up primarily in Houston, moved there about 10 years ago. I am a seasoned restaurant and hospitality professional. I've been working in restaurants for 20 years, and I've been in the wine industry for 12 of those years as well. I am currently the managing partner and director of operations for 3 restaurants in Austin, all pizza concepts: Bufalina Pizza, Palm Pizza. Come check it out. Our wine program at Bufalina recently got nominated for a James Beard Award. Very exciting. And then I'm also the founder and president of a nonprofit organization that I started in 2019 called Lift Collective that does diversity and inclusion work in the wine industry, primarily advocating for women and women of color. LaGina is a board member. And I have 2 cats and a dog and a husband, and I'm a Sagittarius.
I love that. Yeah. All right. So that's the panel. These are the people we're talking to today. A wide myriad of different people from different backgrounds. But the one thing we all have in common is we're entrepreneurs. And why did we do this? So let's start with that. But the official name of this panel here, y'all, is Mental Health Meets Business Success, Thriving Entrepreneurs. I think that looks different for everybody. And we want you to walk away with our real life experiences to inspire you. A lot of people talk about, Sherhara is getting her content here. Everybody's getting content. You're seeing the content. This is our winning moments. What are the moments that get us to the winning moments? What are the moments that you're not winning, that you call your business friends, and get you to the next winning moment? And the little winning moments are the actual ones that are the ones that keep you going. The big ones are the ones that you strive for years and weeks and months. So I want to start with the conception of being an entrepreneur, right? We didn't start as entrepreneurs. I guess I was born into it, but I circumnavigated. I have a master's degree in higher education that way, right? But when we're talking about, and we're thinking back, because we were talking about this in the pre-call, when you think back to the moment where you're like, I'm going to start something. How did you get to that? Because was it the days before, the weeks before? For me, I started just working for somebody that I was like, they're kind of shady. And why do I have to be here from 9 to 5? I can do this anywhere. And I can just meet up here for like all of these things started fixing in my brain, in my head, right? Even to the point where I was looking back at an old business plan and I did a search in my drive, and I found an even older business plan that I didn't know was a business plan because I was just writing things down from 2017. And now I have 10,000 square feet of space, right? And so it's like, there's always a backlog of what you were doing. So Rania, start with like the moment or the things that started pushing you toward entrepreneurship. I took a leap, don't suggest it, but in general, those things before you became an entrepreneur that got you into what you are now.
So my dad was an entrepreneur here in Houston. He was a mechanic for most of his life, and then he opened his own auto shop here in Houston back in like 1999. And he was always talking about just like wanting to make it for himself, not wanting to work for other people, of course, which was great. But he always had this drive and his passion for entrepreneurship that I never truly saw in myself, or it wasn't anything that I ever actually dreamed of doing. I didn't envision myself becoming a business owner. But I went to U of H. I studied cultural anthropology and international business and entrepreneurship there. And I still didn't quite have that bug. And for me, I'd spent so much time working in restaurants that I had kind of reached this point in 2017 where I was really burnt out and was just considering either leaving the industry altogether and kind of trying to just like reanalyze what I wanted to do. And I decided to take a waiting job at one of my favorite restaurants in the city, which is Speakhaus. And I told myself that it would be the last restaurant job I ever had. And it is, it technically is. But it was really in that environment that I felt like for the first time that all of the years that I had put into wine and the hospitality industry and professional service, that those skills were actually truly valued for the first time by somebody. And so I quickly became a member of the management team and was contributing a lot to the overall financial success of the restaurant. I implemented a lot of initiatives that really made the restaurant profitable. And so I eventually got offered a partnership through sweat equity in the company. And I felt like, yeah, this is what I want to do. This is where I feel like I can make a really big difference, because a lot of people that come up in hospitality, there is no leadership training. There is no management training. You just often get thrown into things. And so over my time doing this now, I've really invested a lot of my efforts into leadership development for my team, empathetic leadership, and really trying to create a better employee experience by offering health benefits and mental health care and all these things. And so it really just took me in a direction that I never envisioned. But as I've gone through it and I've started to learn, I'm constantly problem solving. It's taught me so much about myself and how I want to give back to others. And yeah, that's my origin.
Yeah. Something you said that really stuck out to me is this phrase, sweat equity. Did everybody, we all know what sweat equity is? Yes, 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 yes. I'm going to break it down anyways because I didn't see everybody nod. And it's still a foreign concept to me, although we're doing it in real time. So sweat equity there's two ways to look at it. It's when somebody's like, hey, I have no money in my business, but I'm going to give you X amount of the business if you work for me or work for the business before we're getting any money. So you're putting your sweat in to get equity later. And as small business owners, entrepreneurs right now, we are sweat equity, right? Like my billable hour in my head right here is $250 an hour. And, I can't tell you what I'm actually averaging. And so those are two different forms of sweat equity. It's where you're putting in the work and you're getting equity on the back end, money, value, piece of a company, all of those kind of things. And so just breaking that down, but I think that's really interesting that you say that because another way to look at it is if you have a business that is scaling, that is a way to get people involved when you don't have money is sweat equity. All right, Lala, how about you? What was the moment where you were like, I can't do this anymore. I've got to do it better. Like Rania was saying around benefits, right? In the service industry, when California just said that those aren't real employees and no, you cannot get that. We have somebody that is James Beard nominated over here, making sure that their employees have those type of benefits. Yeah.
Well, my aha moment came when I was 12. I was doing hair at 12. And I mean good. No, like I started with braids, individual braids. I started with, and I blew up more when I started doing micro braids. But my natural hair care regimen for my customers was beneficial at 14. Because I'm very into herbs. I'm very into natural products. But I ended, I'm 14. Think about an entrepreneur. I am a first generational entrepreneur. I was the only one in my family that looked at entrepreneurship as a way of life at 14. But, you got background and family in your ear saying, oh, how you gonna make money if you're just doing hair? I'm like, that's a service. I make money. But, you get a job, you're 14. You're still in school, stuff like that. I didn't know I was an entrepreneur. So I went through life, of course, but everything I did was a service-oriented job. And then I became a social service, God dang it.
Social worker?
I was a social worker.
That's trauma right there.
I know.
Like,
Girl, that job
never mind.
It gave me trauma, please. I was a social worker for Fresenius Medical Care, Renal Dialysis Center. And they saw my value and they hired me on for a pilot position where I actually managed my own schedule and my own areas. I started off with 2 hospitals. They had the 2 hospitals. They pitched them, got the contract. Yeah, I'm a little too committed when I do things. I'm a Virgo. So the 2 ended up 8. And it was just me. So with that being said, with 150 patients on my docket on a daily basis, yeah, I burnt out. Within 4 years, I was burnt out. Hypertension, I was on the side of the road, blind, calling 911. Literally, blind. My vision went out. My blood pressure was that high. Ocular something. But yeah. I was like, yep, I quit. I gave you 2 weeks. I quit. And after that, I started noticing depression. I started noticing different behaviors and things like that. I became very aware. In 2010, I was diagnosed as a level 1 bipolar. So please, when we say stress can kill you, stress can do all types of things to you, and believe it. So in that, I was trying to find ways of managing my blood pressure. And I was having issues with that. Then I'm dealing with what is bipolar? I know we as Black people, we call people bipolar because we know that means people crazy. It's more in depth than that. And then, it became, I need to know what it is to be bipolar, how to manage it. And I'm not for medicine. I'm not for chemicals, and I'm not for all of this other stuff. So we need to get a plan. In doing so, I also realized, the years of braiding hair has now also affected my hands. They're locking. They're locking all the way up. And I told my doctor, because I was at a point where I needed surgery. And I'm like, I don't do surgery. I have an Indian doctor, thank God, who also focused on holistic health. He told me to get a copper bracelet. I was like, and what? Is there more today? He was like, no, just wear it every day. I was like, okay. Trust the process. It helped so much better. Oh my God. Like, I was in very dire need. And in doing so, I'm always an entrepreneur. I started a resale shop because I was like, I need something less stress and I need to be able to manage it. So I started a resale shop. And one day I was sitting there making myself a bracelet because the one that I bought, it worked, but it was ugly. I didn't like it. And one of my customers walked in like, oh my God, how long is it going to take you to finish that? I said, probably by 5 o'clock. I want it. How much is it? I'm like, crap, I just started on it. I wanted it. I was like, $60. She was like, here come my card. I come back and pick it up in the morning. Okay. I made myself another one. Same thing happened. Every time I make myself something, somebody's taking it. I was like, okay, I actually enjoy it. That was the best thing.
So your health started rolling you into your actual business. I love that.
It kept me, the focus and the meditation with the stones kept my anxiety levels down. Uh-huh. And copper is beneficial. It help with your energy levels. It helps bring stuff out. And with the coupling the copper with the crystals actually help with meditation, mood awareness, a variety of actual physical benefits.
Yeah.
So, and
hold on 1 second. I want to add this in right now.
Ahead.
So everybody, you have these journal prompts in the back of or you have your tablets out, whatever you're doing. I know we have paper. I'm sorry. Okay. OG. As we're writing down this why, not the why, the question mark, what's your why? You know what I'm talking about when we go to the networking stuff for businesses, but the why, these stories, start remembering your why, because it also goes back to the whole thing where you're looking in the mirror and you're like, why? And your real one. You know what I mean? What was that point in time where you decided that entrepreneurship was for you, whether it's the highs or the lows, or it's the I can't pay myself, or I'm taking a bank loan out to pay other people? I'm sure you know something about that, right? It's the whole thing. We're going to come back to you. I want to know about that aha moment, right? Because you were in Atlanta for a little while.
Yes, for about 5 years.
And then you moved here. Correct. And you started your practice in Atlanta, correct? What were you doing before that? And then what was the moment where you're like, nope?
Well, so in 2020, during the pandemic, I was working 3 jobs, y'all. 3 jobs. And my thing is, so one of them was a 9 to 5. Speaking of higher ed. Now, so I'm Colombian, as I mentioned. That was when I had to start drinking coffee. I could not keep up with the 3 jobs. Now, the thing is, in the 9 to 5, a lot of times, and it was very exhausting. I saw a lot of racial discrimination. I experienced it to the point where I was like, I don't want to sign up for a 4th job. I really don't. And it got to the point where I was like, so I founded Sparrow the year before. I was like, you know what? I'm going to make this one work. I'm going to dig in, go full throttle, because the thing is also what gave me that, like, I got this mentality, or like being brave about it, was I experienced some grief and loss. And so I was training as a boxer at a fight club in Atlanta. And I was like, it was a whole mindset shift. I know, right?
It's the whole mindset.
Right? That too.
We
No,
heard
I'm
it.
playing. No, I'm playing. So it was a whole mindset shift to the point of like, okay, well, if I can do that, I can go full out with my entrepreneurship. I can go dig into what the services that I want to provide, basically combating the racial discrimination that I was experiencing. What do I want to do to fix this? How do I want to be in that gap where I am part of the solution? I know that sounds cheesy, but it's true. And a lot of times, even talking about that stuff was a lot of pushback. I don't know how to advocate quietly. I'll just put it out there. So that's when I realized, I was like, you know what? 9 to 5 is not it. I just saw too much to be able to be like, I don't care. Like, that just isn't me. So that was the aha moment for me, working those 3 jobs, being like, yes, we were all grinding in the pandemic, and I felt very frustrated and down, because if I'm working 3 jobs, why am I not Elon Musk's right-hand woman? That's what I wanted to know.
Yeah.
I should be rich, okay? And but I was not. So then I was like, okay, well, if I'm gonna do all this, let me at least pour into my passion and go from there.
I love that you say that, because we're all like, yeah, that's the church moment right there. Because if you're going to be doing all this for somebody else, why not do it for yourself? The second part to that is, and I say this all the time, for anybody in the audience that's not an entrepreneur. Is there anybody in the audience not an entrepreneur? We welcome you to come work with us for sweat equity. Raise your hand if you need some sweat equity friends up in here. Yes. Because I mean, there's this whole ecosystem of people. When you're thinking about, if you're ever in a pitch competition and you say you're looking for help, don't ever say that. You need to say, I want a fractional CTO that's 5'2" and knows how to write code. Like, be very specific, because there's somebody in the room that's looking to exit from the high blood pressure, the 3 jobs, or, well, Bufalina over here, she's been in the game for like 80 years. I don't know. Like, I'm like, maybe I should have worked in the service industry with you while I lived in Austin. Maybe I'd have better mental health. So when we're thinking about that, like, keep those things in mind, because entrepreneurship isn't just this, it's the whole ecosystem. How are you building it out? What's the support team? Who can you bring in? What interns can you pour into and then uplift? All of those things are part of it, right? And so I want to go into the entrepreneurship part now. So we had our moments. We almost died. Right? We had the aha moments during COVID. We're sitting here like in the generational thing, but trying to do other things, when one of our parents probably was like, just go into the family business. And we're like, no, I need to do my own thing. And it's like, you just end up back doing what you're supposed to do anyways. But let's dive into it. And, now that we're entrepreneurs, now that we've all had our cries in the shower, or we try to walk backwards and decide not to do it, but then realize you have to stay over here because you can't work for nobody else, you can't punch in, and you don't need nobody asking you where to go, all of these things, right? Because we're all resonating at this point. Because I know 2 days ago, I was like, I am going to go find a job in higher ed, and I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to put up this vinyl. I don't want to talk to another vendor, any of those things. But now that you're in it, how are you? I struggle with saying the word balance, because I think that sometimes you are pulling until 2 a.m., right? But then there's sometimes you pull back and you're like, it's cool, I can watch House of Dragons, all of those things. But what are you doing right now to maintain some type of wellness in the entrepreneur spaces, right? We're going to go right over here to you, because you are our you have like 5 letters behind your name. It's like LBCDWS, all of those. But talk about, from a clinical standpoint, what are some things is us as entrepreneurs that we can just quickly be doing on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, every hour, that just like maintain mental health? Like one of the things my friend told me is just stand up and move around. So your hips, because my hips are starting to have problems because I'm sitting in a chair all day sending out emails and stuff. So
something that has been really helpful for me is reframes, because I feel like the nerves kick in. I'm a perfectionist. So it's just like, well, why put this out yet? What if? So the reframe a lot of times for me is like, well, what if it does work out? What if it is successful? And for me, honestly, as a single mom, there is no other option. I'm either going to make it work or make it work. So being able to have that mindset of like combating and fighting against the self-doubt and putting more positive affirmations, that's what's helped me, is being able to, like, in a sense, pour into myself with how I talk to myself, how I treat myself, how I honor my mind and body. That to me is very important, and how I engage in body movement while not being like super critical of like, well, I didn't run a 5K yesterday, I must not be doing this right. As opposed to like, okay, well, I took my daughter to the park. That counts. Okay. And so even knowing that type of mindset has been helpful in like a tips and tricks type of way.
Y'all want to do a quick reframe? Let's do a reframe. I'll say mine out loud. You can write it down. If you're not shy, say it out loud too. My reframe was around the rain this morning. I was like, ooh, because what just happened? We just had a tornado come through the middle of downtown twice. And then we had a hurricane-esque, or was it a tropical storm? But it ripped everything up. And so I got really nervous when it started raining, because I was like, who is going to show up? And it's in downtown. And then I was like, stop. And then I did a reframe. I didn't know that's what it's called, but I think that as we're on these stages, I think it's our responsibility to also talk about calling things what they are. We are all on mental health journeys, whether we understand it or not. But once we consciously know it, it becomes a different type of journey. And so now that I know it's reframing, because I thought it was like Issa Rae gassing myself up. That's what I call it. That's a reframe.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. We're on that page. Mm-hmm. Okay, Rania, what's something that you're doing or you've done that you see that is successfully like working for the balance of your mental health, even the wellness part of it?
Yeah. So I'll say 2 things. One is I've been leaning very hard into the power of delegation, which
I see the pens going up. Slow down. Delegation.
It becomes your best friend. But it definitely was very challenging at the beginning as somebody who's a recovering perfectionist and who wants to try to do everything myself. I realized that after some time that really wasn't serving me, and that I wasn't able to show up and actually give what I wanted to give to my team. And so, at first I was like, oh, I don't want to tell people what to do. But then I realized that, no, I'm helping them develop their own skill sets. Mm-hmm. And when I'm putting trust into my team, they're going to have to learn through, problem solving on their own when I'm not around. And so that has started to serve me really, really well. And the second part of that is Sunday is my sacred day for myself. I will almost never work. I will not respond to text messages or emails. I want to be in my kitchen. I go grocery shopping. I come home. I clean my fridge. I wash my vegetables. I cut my fruit. I do all of that and light some Palo Santo and put some music on. But that is like my day, and I need that. And that's like a non-negotiable. And I couldn't do that if I wasn't learning to delegate, because I can always find a reason. Oh, I need to go in. I need to cover for this person. But I'm like, you know what? No, you guys can figure that out. And my team has become stronger. They're self-managing themselves now. I was able to take 3 weeks off last month and not look at an email. Nice. It's incredible.
Yes, absolutely. It took me a second. I was like, 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
3 weeks. Yeah. I'm like 2 days. I'm like, what? Yeah. Love that. Oh, okay. That was it. She's like, drop the mic, 3 weeks, done. Okay. Lala, how about you? And you're a traveling entrepreneur. You travel, you're making jewelry that is not just jewelry, right? Like it's aesthetically pleasing. I love it.
It's
I actually have
pleasing.
I have several pieces. I stood over her in Chicago last year and was like, make that one too.
And then she came back the next day and was like, you know what? I got somebody can you make this?
Yes,
and
for my cousin. I love it. I want you to talk about while you're traveling as an entrepreneur, what is one of the things that is just keeping you sounded and grounded, knowing that you have things going on at home, knowing you're doing this to get your business out here? What is that one thing that's just really keeping you like centered and focused and is helping you maintain?
Honesty.
Explain that, please.
Honesty. So this morning you were honest with yourself and saying, oh, the rain, oh, the worry part is the problem, but you were being honest. The rain is going to affect turnout. The rain is going to affect this and that. I'm honest from the time I wake up in the morning. Like, okay, I'm waking up with anxiety. That means it's going to typically grow depending on what I do. I need to be honest with what I can do today. I need to be honest with how I'm feeling and actually take advantage of the time I have to fix it. So you have to be able to rebound from where you're at. So what I normally do is, okay, if I may have had plans to go to an event. If I wake up with anxiety, I'm not going nowhere. I'm not going to push myself to go anywhere because I'm only going to be in the event. I'm not going to enjoy it because my anxiety is too high. Be honest about it. Hey, girl, I ain't coming. Everything okay? Everything fine. My mental ain't. I'm not coming. I'm not going to explain it. I'm not coming because I'm being honest with myself. I've twisted rose metal at 16 years old. So I've learned to get to where I'm at. Delegation, oh, Jesus. That one is hard. It is hard because as a Virgo, ain't nobody going, as an entrepreneur, let me take the Virgo part out. As an entrepreneur, one thing we cannot release is somebody doing our job better than us. Nobody's going to run your business better than us. Let's be honest with ourselves and say, that's true, but you're going to burn yourself out. Because they may not be able to do it 100%, but they might be able to do the 90. The 90 is acceptable enough. Take it and go.
And not only is the 90 acceptable enough, but like it speaks to leadership, right? Like once you become an entrepreneur, you're also the leader of your ship, whether you're the only person in your ship or not. And sometimes the leadership means that you figure out how to step back and step down, even if it's you, the one person, and you tell everybody that I'm closed on this day because my dad passed away. I'm closed on this day because of this. And you just create boundaries. I always struggle with that word too, because sometimes people are like, hard boundaries, I don't do that. Yes, you do, because you're an entrepreneur. So if you really needed the invoice sent, you may have to pop open your laptop, right? But I think the honesty is one of those things that come into play a lot. Okay, so I see Sherhara. I know we started like 3 minutes late. Can we have 3 minutes? Okay. Okay. I want to open up to the audience for questions and comments or anything that you feel like you want us to be honest about. I feel like there's about 55 years of experience on the stage in the entrepreneurship world. Yes, ma'am.
So in entrepreneurship, money is an ongoing issue. Yeah, get that mic out. I can hear every thought.
Are you a therapist? Okay, I'm gonna interview you later because I'm looking for one. Go ahead.
And so I'm wondering, grants, loans, what do you as entrepreneurs, and then the other part is nonprofit over profit. What?
So entrepreneurship, the monetary aspects of it, grants, loans, what do you do? Do you become a non-for-profit? Do you do for-profit? All of those kind of things.
So something that I've done to balance is, so yes, I work for myself. Yes, I have my own business, but I also do contract work. that to me, until, I get to big boss status, that to me is where my, a lot of my income comes in. I do contract work for the meditation app Headspace. Shout out Headspace. And to me, that's where I'm able to, it gives me more freedom to take risks with my business, because at the end of the day, in my opinion, it's a many leaps of faith, not just one. It's do I want to launch something? When? Because my perfectionist comes in, but when? Or the analysis paralysis, as I call it. If y'all don't look, ask my marketing director that is in the audience how long it took us to do the relaunch of my website, because of how it's hard to take, because of how hard it's to take risks. So I'm able to take more, in summary, I'm able to take more when I have that residual income with doing contract work.
Contract work is bomb. Once you become your own business owner, you are also now a thought leader and an expert in that area, and you can do contract work. So think about that. I mean, you could probably do a whole contract on how to run restaurants successfully and not be grimy, right? And that could be a whole restaurant, a whole contract thing. So if you are starting your business and starting it and launching it and you still aren't sure, start looking at yourself as a thought leader in something and start centering yourself to do contract work. Anybody else have question? Yep, jump in real quick.
So real quick, if your product
We need the mic. We have recording.
If you're a product-based company, I'm going to tell you one word that will save your life: distribution. My products is in 12 stores from Wisconsin to Las Vegas. And those stores pay. So you get a weekly, bi-weekly or monthly check. So even when I don't do anything, I have product out there that's paying me every month. Distribution, wholesale, get on that.
Delegate distribution. We've got delegate and distribution right here.
I was gonna ask, in terms of like building a network of business friends, resources and stuff like that, or just like, people to bounce off ideas. Like, how do you get out there, and even mentorship? Like, how do you get out there in terms of like developing that, especially if you're like first generation entrepreneur, or you don't even have just first in your circle entrepreneur. How do you, get out there and build those connections?
Number one, check with the
Hold on one second. So the question is framed around your network as an entrepreneur and a business owner, whether it's mentorship or business friends and everything else. I will say, because I see a lot of questions, I see people's eyes like, oh, okay, we are all going to hang out right there, right after, because I'm not going to hold this stage up, but we'll answer this and one more question, and then we'll skirt off the stage, and we're glad to go into dialogue. So I'm going to have Rania answer this question, and then we'll do one more, and then we're going to be over here for y'all. So around mentorship, all of those kind of things in entrepreneurship.
I would say for the mentorship component, really just finding community circles or groups or events that you can insert yourself into. I found that really challenging as somebody who has social anxiety, and I hate making small talk. And so going to those things is really challenging, but I knew that it was a necessary part of my growth in my career. And I think that also taking a step back and actually just doing like a tally of all of the friendships and connections that you've made and all those people's specialized skill sets. I think oftentimes we forget the people that we already know that have certain skills that can come into play to help us when we need them. And so just making a list of all of those people, what they do, and that way you can start thinking about what are your specific needs, and you know that you have people in your circle that you can reach out to.
All right, right here.
So, for those of us who are just getting into this entrepreneurial space, looking at, nonprofit opportunities, what advice would you guys have when it comes to going back to like the grants and the monetary object of it? Like, how do you start? Where do you go? Like, what would your advice be on how to start when you're going to look at grants and funding? Particularly in the nonprofit space? Okay. Who has non-for-profits? I mean, we do, I guess. Grants and everything else.
the first thing when you're building out any business, but more so for a non-for-profit, is to be very mindful about who you bring into your board. You have to build out a governance. You have to build out your operating procedures and everything else. So make sure that you're bringing in people to your board that are going to understand your mission. Any business owner, you need to have a mission, whether it's just you and the wall or it's you and 50 people. Have a mission because it drives everything you do in business. It actually drives decisions. It drives where you fly to. It drives who you serve. It drives where you open, a business. So make sure that you have a mission, because every word in your mission means something, and it starts forming your story. Guess that's time. No. But everybody's asking about grants and everything else. Some of the best advice I got about grants is do the math. Everything, dollars have to make sense. So if you're doing a grant and you can't understand from the grant how it's going to forward your business, don't do the grant. If the grant is going to take you 40 hours to do and you are only going to get $1,000 and they just ask you for your entire life history and there's no public exposure, don't do it. Sherhara told a story earlier at the beginning where she said that, we'd call each other and show up wherever we were, right? She called me up, I think a night before an event, Houston Area Urban League. And she shows up, she gets on stage, she wins, right? But that's also when we go back to talking about knowing your value proposition. She's an amazing speaker. And she had a business idea that I think she shot to me like 2 weeks before. And then she gets on stage. I don't even think you had landed on the whole idea, right? She didn't land on the whole idea, but she got up there, the vocal inflections, right? The attitude, the confidence. And I was like, she didn't even tell them nothing except for that she was doing champagne show and tell. That was the name of it. And it was a concept. And, one of my favorite things to say to anybody is you have the audacity of a white male millennial and you swag it out however you do for your generation, your knowledge, your ethnicity, whatever you think your platform is, right? And that's what she did. I saw her do it. So I say that to say, when you're building out your non-for-profit, make sure that you're foundationally sound and make sure you understand what you're doing and make sure that it should be a non-for-profit, because a lot of people push Black women to open non-for-profits when it should be a for-profit business. Yeah. Did you get recommended to be a non-for-profit? I did. The space, they told me like 50,000 times to open it up as a non-for-profit. So knowing anything about that, did I miss anything with like the grants and everything? It's just around really understanding what the grant needs and wants and everything else. I think we're out of time. I want to say thank you to my panelist, Lala. Thank you for flying in. She has a vendor table. Y'all should go check her out. Thank you for being here. We have a lot of work to do. I'm excited about you. Thank you for hopping on stage and being a part and traveling from Austin. We will hang out over here and make sure that you are figuring out your entrepreneurship journey and that you are respecting yourself as you do. All right. Thank you so much, y'all.
All right. So we have